We back. I am recording this literally as the Elden Ring DLC is installing, but I decided, hey, I did want to talk about this, so I did want to talk about the NBA Finals, just my thought by 1 to 122.84, and Celtics won 106.88. So we're just going to be taking a look really at like scores, and I'm not really too surprised that clicking on game one brought me to the game one screen. But just numbers, thoughts, everything really about that. So everyone is kind of saying how Boston. There are a lot of Boston haters. Let's just put it like that. I'm not saying. There are a lot of Boston haters, right? And Boston definitely has. I wouldn't say a negative reputation, but it was a very. What would the right word even be? Mismatch? Not mismatch. Divided. A very divided finals. Or. Every finals is divided. What's the word I'm really looking for? And maybe divided might be the right word, because it's either divided or one-sided, because, you know, let's take a look at the regular season numbers, right? Boston won 64 games, lost 18. Dallas won 50, lost 32. Boston had the best regular season win-loss ratio in the entire NBA. I think the closest team to them was it OKC and Dallas, or not Dallas, Minnesota and them? Yeah. So OKC, Denver, they were closest to Boston. Boston's number one. Or OKC's win-loss was the closest to Boston's win-loss, but Boston had a percentage of almost 100 more compared to OKC and Denver. Now, let's take a look at Dallas. Boston almost had a 200% percentage. 200 is something. Boston almost had a 200 more in terms of win-loss compared to Dallas. So, Boston definitely had the upper hand in this finals. They just did. And, you know, I watched game 1, game 4, and game 5. Game 2 and 3, I was at work. I couldn't really watch those. But game 1, I thought it was solid. Nothing really too surprising, I guess. I mean, Boston winning almost by 20 against Dallas. As I said, nothing too surprising. But game 4, I will argue this game was Boston's hardest game in the entire postseason. I will argue that. Boston lost 3 games the entire postseason. Once to Miami, once to Cleveland, once to Dallas. And I will say this Mavericks game was the hardest game the Celtics had to go against. They lost by 38. They come back, win almost by 20. So there were a fair amount of people saying, oh, wait until Boston actually goes against a healthy team and they're going to get smoked. They went against a healthy Dallas and 1-5. Every single series Boston has been in, they won by either 4 or 5. They swept the Pacers, 1-5 against Miami, 1-5 against Cleveland, 1-5 against Dallas. So The Celtics definitely did prove themselves, but I feel like there are two things that, if they changed, would have been different for Boston. And these are my opinion as well. It is if New York made it to the conference finals, and if either Denver or Minnesota made it to the finals. I'm not saying that, Dallas shouldn't have made it to the finals. I mean, they beat the Timberwolves in 5, I believe. The same team that went to 7 against the reigning champions. Let me just fact check that one real quick. Yeah, Dallas won in 5 against Minnesota. The same team that went to 7 against the previous champions. So Dallas did prove themselves to be a contender for the finals. They did. They really did. But Boston was just better. That's just how it is. I mean, definitely, with Kristaps and with Jrue Holiday, they definitely had an impact. I mean, let's take a look at what they did. Game 1, did Kristaps play? Kristaps did play, yes. 21 minutes, 20 points, 3 blocks, 6 rebounds for Kristaps. For Jrue Holiday, we had 12 points, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. Did Kristaps had no assists? Okay. Jason Tatum, 16 points, 5 assists, 11 rebounds. Jrue Holiday, 12 points, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. I already said that. Jaylen Brown, 22 points, 2 assists, 6 rebounds. Right? Let's take a look at Dallas. Luka, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist. Kyrie, 12 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Derrick Jones Jr., 5 points, 6 rebounds, no assists. Daniel Gafford, 8 points, 1 assist, 8 rebounds. Hardaway Jr., no points, no assists, no rebounds. Oh, okay then. Derek Lively, 2 points, 1 assist, 5 rebounds. Like, I have noticed a pattern in this NBA season. The more players with around the same points have a higher chance of winning the game. For a better example, right? Let's take a look at the starting 5 plus Porzingis. Jason Tatum had 16, Al Horford had 10, Jrue Holiday had 12, Derek White had 15, Jaylen Brown had 22, Kristaps had 20. For the first 4, it's very similar, very, nothing too drastic, nothing too crazy. Definitely going from Al Horford to Jaylen Brown, an extra 12 points. But the main key, or the main thing to notice, is the consistency. 16, 10, 12, 15, 22, 20, like that. It's very consistent, and everyone's getting the ball, everyone is shooting, everyone is making it, right? Let's take a look at the Mavericks. PJ Washington for 14, Derrick Jones Jr. for 5, Daniel Gafford for 8, Kyrie for 12, Luka for 30. Derrick Jones and Daniel Gafford had the same amount of points as Jrue Holiday. Minus or plus 1, sorry. 2 players on the Mavericks had the same amount of points as 1 player on the Celtics. It's the thing with the finals is it is a very team-oriented moment. Everyone has to be committing 110% every minute, every game, right? Let's take a look at how many times they shot. Luka, 12 for 26. Kyrie, 6 for 19. Derrick Jones Jr., 2 for 9. 4 for 8, 4 for 9, 5 for 11, 7 for 12. Obviously, you're not going to make every shot. That's the thing. You're just not. But 2 for 9, 5 for 11, 6 for 19. There are times where... Now, again, I don't really remember this game too much. I think this was... about 2 weeks ago at this point. I don't really remember all of it. But... as I mentioned, very team-oriented. Let's take a look at game 2. 105 to 98. Let's take a look at the box score. Oh, okay, so it's a little more consistent for the Mavs, as I was mentioning. You know, we have 17, 11, 13, 16. Then Luka dropping 30 like he always does. And then for Boston, 18, 5. But here's the thing. 5 points, didn't shoot that much. Did not shoot that much. 16, shot a lot. 32, he shot a lot. We go back to game 1. We go back to game 1. I guess I don't need these tabs then. 5 points, shot a lot. 8 points, shot a lot, or didn't shoot that much, but he made them all. 12 points, shot a lot. There's a pattern, right? Head on over to game 3. Dallas loses by 7. Head on over to the box score. Yeah, Jaylen Brown dropped 30. Jason Tatum dropped 30. Al Horford at 8. Did not shoot a lot. Jrue Holiday at 9. Did not shoot a lot. Derek White at 16. Shot a lot, but made most of his threes, right? Head on over to the Mavericks. Did not shoot a lot at all. Wow, geez, that's... Huh. Something I vividly remember from this series is... I think it was in this game, actually. Let me check the box score, because I remember... let's see. Yep, Tim Hardaway. 5 out of 7 threes. This man made 5 threes in, I think, 3 minutes. Or something insane like that. Like, this guy he shot the 3 so often. Like, every time he had the ball, and every time he had the ball, really, he would just go for 3 and he would make it. Every time, without fail. Luka had 29. Kyrie had 21. Derek Lively had 11. Who are you? Dante Exum. He had 10. And over to the Celtics. Jason Tatum had 15. Jrue Holiday had 10. Jaylen Brown had 10. Sam Hauser? I think that's his name. Yeah, Sam Hauser. He had 14. Pritchard had 11. And I guess to be fair, they also didn't shoot a lot. I mean, Derek White shot 2 for 8. Jaylen Brown shot 3 for 12. But, like, Al Horford shot once. Jason Tatum shot 10 times. Jrue Holiday shot 10 times. Sam Hauser shot 7 times, made 5. Like, they were, I guess, a little more consistent with their shots in this game, but they weren't making as much. Probably except for Jason Tatum and Jrue Holiday and Jaylen Brown, like those 3, in terms of being consistent. But, taking a look at everyone else, really, and Pritchard and Makaliuk, Svi. We're gonna call him Svi. Okay, I guess it is a little bit of inconsistent, and they didn't shoot as much. And then, yeah, I still argue that this is Boston's hardest game, without a doubt, no doubt about it. And then and they win it in Boston. Wow, Jaylen Brown did not do that good in terms of shooting. Huh. Now, as I mentioned towards the start, there were a lot of Boston haters. In my opinion, and even as I mentioned in that one video where I talked about my thoughts with Dallas against Boston, in my opinion, it would have been a more interesting series if it wasn't Dallas. If it was Minnesota or Denver, it would have been a much more entertaining. Let's not say interesting. Let's say entertaining. It would have been a much more entertaining series compared to Dallas and Boston. Because, as I did mention, Dallas did beat Minnesota in 5 when Minnesota beat Denver in 7. But they were both healthy too, if I remember correctly. But I don't think Dallas had a chance to begin with against Boston. Like, this was a series where I was like, okay, I think I'd have to see the first game and then decide who I think is going to win. Boston won, and I immediately knew it was either going to be Boston in 4 or 5. As much as I wanted it to be Dallas in, let's say, 6 or 7, I knew it was going to be Boston from that first game. Was this a fun series? Or a fun postseason, I guess? The West definitely had a lot of fun games to watch. It had a lot of fun moments. The West was definitely more entertaining than the East because I think everyone knew Boston was going to make it to the finals. I mean, there was really no doubt about it. What would the other team in the East be to make it to the finals? If Giannis and Dame were healthy, would they have made it? Maybe. Definitely not Cleveland. Definitely not Orlando. I'm trying to think of like the second round teams. Orlando was down in the first round. So really, it'd be like Cleveland, Pacers, New York, and maybe New York. Maybe New York, but they didn't have a healthy team in their Game 7. So it's hard to tell. In my opinion, also the Pacers Knicks series, that was the best series in the entire postseason. In my opinion, not even like the best in the East, like it was just the best one. The second best would probably be Denver and Minnesota. What's funny too is no one really said or had thoughts like, oh, Dallas is gonna make it. Dallas is gonna make it to the finals. But yeah, no one thought Dallas was gonna make it. They ended up making it, and they lost in 5. Good on Jason Kidd, Luka, and Kyrie. They did their best. I know they definitely put in 110% every minute for every game. But Boston was just better, and it showed. I saw something that said, could Boston repeat? They could. They definitely could. Alright, well, my Elden Ring is done. I'll get on that. But thanks for listening to my ramble, I guess. As always, if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe. Helps with the channel a lot, and it's greatly appreciated. With that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or, no, I'll see you guys later. Peace.